and God is not in the present. And that's a blasphemous idea to apply to God. I get on these Arabs for having the same idea. I get on Indians and Pakistanis for having it even worse. Because they assume that it is human nature to prefer lighter skin over darker skin. And I have to tell them, you just called God a racist. You blaspheming, hypocrite, bastard, disbeliever. We've had some serious heated arguments about this. Fortunately, no physical fights. I was threatened before. And I straight said, the minute something happens to me, what do you think is going to happen to one of your students that's over there in my country studying? What do you think is going to happen when the Creole community, see, mind you, I'm Creole. I said, what do you think is going to happen when the Creole community finds out that one of theirs got killed by some Arabs on some anti-blackness? One of yours ain't going to make it home. You already got white folks that are willing to beat the hell out of you, and it's been done. You're going to sit up here and start talking junk about black people? Even if you don't hate us, just you think it's okay to call us slaves, means it's okay to call you terrorists and camel rapers, but you'll kill someone for that. So we should kill y'all for calling us slaves. And it can come to this if you all decide you want to attack me. Right now, I'm using a word you don't like to teach you a lesson. Violence? Y'all gonna do that? You really want to start something between people that actually normally tend to get along. When I said that, I meant me and them individually. People who normally get along. You want to start a problem with violence because you can't take correction when you're wrong? Well, then, a dead person can't call his family and say, hey, don't retaliate, you can't. And that's what the hell it's going to take for one of you to win a fight against me. You have to kill me. Or you can stop with your nasty, racist, pro-white vocabulary, and we don't have this problem. And to tell the truth, the problem was done after that. But see, others are actually worse than the Arabs. And so you have every right to be upset with them. And I think a lot of you got this rhetoric from them, or you heard about them years ago and how, the whole world hates black people, especially the West African phenotype. The problem is you seem to have forgotten what you heard. And now you want to blame the light-skinned African Americans for this, when in fact, we're the ones who have not done this. We had nothing to do with it. If you want to be upset because white folks, if you think white folks are giving us things they're not giving you, be upset with white folks. Don't sit up here and then turn around and start getting upset with us because of what someone else turned and handed to us that you think they handed without even proving that they did it. If you want to get hung up about media representation, everybody's underrepresented. And frankly, TV ain't everything. Shout out to Brady Horsfield. It ain't everything. But if that's what really gets you, and you think we just out here stealing roles from you, so you want to sit up here and lead to hatred because of actors' roles, you think these actors are sitting up here talking about this stuff with you? Is that what you think? You think these actors are sitting up here worried about all this colorism stuff? No, I don't think so. But see, the problem now comes from that, number one, you're barking up the wrong tree. And if it's going to affect, it doesn't even have to be my daughters or my son. If it's going to affect people that ain't done nothing to you, it's the same thing as if we were to sit up and start blaming people of your phenotype for things you didn't do, we'd be wrong. Secondly, finally, how dare you say this and then uphold the worst man on the planet, the one that oppressed everybody else all over the world? How dare you uphold him as the greatest catch and greatest prize, when he's the one that brought, with gunpowder, colorism into Africa? If there's colorism, he's the one that would uphold it. If it's true that there's such a thing as light-skin privilege, they would be the ones who would try to give it. And as I've already said, when they do extend anything that you might think is light-skin privilege, they do it with the condition that we give up our integrity for it and play divisive. And most African Americans aren't willing to do that. So I want to call the rest of the community to cancel these B words. Get rid of them. Kick them out of the community. Don't come around. Don't let them tell you that you need to kick out and recategorize us. We ain't the problem. No, they are. Because not only are we talking this junk about people that ain't never done nothing to them, they're also upholding the one that is the problem as the best catch. And then to make matters worse, it gets even worse than this. They know damn well that upholding this worst man on the planet as the best catch can only lead to creating the same phenotype that they already hate in pre-existing adults. Make that make sense? They want to conceive what they hate And what could possibly be the reason for that? I cannot imagine it. See, some people thought that I hated my own phenotype. If that was the case, I just wouldn't have conceived. No. These are the ones that seem to hate their own. They really are. What they want is to be pursued by who they say they want.
People who like them down. So just make sure that your brand is a representation of who you think you hold yourself as a value and overall a brand as well too. So I just wanted to drop that in there. Okay.
Wow, man, I'm trying to write that in here. That's game. All right. Shit, I'm messed up. Go ahead. Who else will jump in? Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that directly kind of rolls right into even that first point that I had as it concerns so you guys were bringing up the ideas of no matter where you are, you might run into individuals who can benefit you in some way, make a good collaboration, can even become a client, as Antoine said, or just is another brother and somebody that you can have a positive influence on. All this contributes to the brand that you put out there. But I think that kind of with me, and I told you about this, OJ, I at times can have an issue with self-promotion even in the right context. Let me tell you this idea that I sometimes have. Sometimes I think that, hey, if I tell people what I've accomplished, I will be seen as arrogant. People will think that I brag about myself, and overall, people won't like me, right? And I don't think that's 100% true, and it's not 100% true, right? It could be some, right? Because, again, context is everything. I'm not going to go to my home city, Detroit, Michigan, and go and start riding the bus and sit next to the guy that is very obviously, he's probably homeless, and start telling him about my accomplishments and who I think I am or whatever, right? That's probably the wrong context to share a lot of that information. It might get into that subject that you and Mediocre were talking about yesterday, OJ, about just telling people all your business. You don't need to do that all the time. But the thing about it is that you might run into individuals who you can have a positive influence to, and also show people who you are. Because I think that it's important to really keep track of your accomplishments. And this is, you guys can write these down, and this is kind of the game that's involved in this. That one thing that you want to do is keep track of your personal accomplishments, typically in a written form. It's easy to forget what you do, different projects that you've been on, different things that you've done. It's easy to forget those things. So that's why I recommend that you get it in a written form. Another thing, especially from a corporate or job type of perspective, update your resume regularly, right? So that written form goes into something that you send off when you're looking for a job. And number 3 is that you want to have something like a 5-minute spiel, right? And so I was on a flight for hours and hours and hours from Malaysia. But I think that there's times where, just like OJ was mentioning, you can just be passing by somebody. You can be at a Starbucks. You can be, I don't know, at the gym. Have like a 5-minute kind of elevator about who you are, because you might run into an individual that can really benefit you in a way if you're able to properly produce or properly communicate your brand to that individual. So 1, have things written down in a written form, your accomplishments. 2, update your resume regularly. And number 3, have something like a 5-minute spiel where individuals can get a better understanding of who you are, if you might run into those people. That's when, okay. No, go ahead, Dr. D.
This is something people don't realize. Your significant other can have a great effect on who you choose on your market for success. A good example of this is if you get invited to a corporate event and it's in the evening, say it's on a Friday evening, and you bring your spouse with you. The 3-point I've always noticed, they take people, the women will take the other women and they'll take them away, and the men will stand here together talking about all types of crazy things.
Yep.
Like 3 questions that they usually ask your significant other: what do you do? What school you graduated from? And where are you from? And if your significant other can at least give some good responses to that, that falls back on your image, because that shows you can't pick good people. If you can't pick good people, you can't make good decisions. So that is a bad effect on your image.
I definitely agree with that, man. Definitely agree with that.
And down.
Because think about it. I'm sorry, go ahead. So, yeah.
Go ahead. You go ahead, Dave.
No, I was going to say, just a little insert, I'll pass it right back to you. Because think about it, right? You're talking about a formal evening gown, right? If your significant other, your girlfriend, or even your wife, if they can't even pull that off, I mean, just like Dr. D is saying, that's a negative representation of who you are. I mean, if you got tattoos on the neck, on the chest, you don't really know how to dress appropriate to certain circumstances. That's somebody that can negatively affect your brand. Yeah, sorry, Dr. D, but I've experienced that.
Well, and Dr. D, I just want to add on to this as well, sir, and I'll let you keep on. If your partner can't tell your story to really talk about your achievements, she doesn't need to be there. She doesn't know you well enough, right? So any sort of events that I'm at with my spouse, she's working a room for me. She's finding out who this person is, who I need to meet over here. You know what? You're right, Dr. D. The guys are all sitting over here talking about whatever senseless stuff. And she may come over there and pull me by my jacket and say, hey, I want to introduce you to this person. So she's connecting the dots on behalf of me inside that sort of networking event as well, too. So you're absolutely right about the having a spouse and making sure she's the right person. But that also goes back to what you guys talked about a lot of them yesterday too. Make sure you select the right person. Yeah. Stop dating these dots out here, man. You people find exactly. You know what kind of women you like, and I can tell you this: if you like somebody of a higher status, guys, go to a rich couple. Have them turn up a rich couple. May only be sipping on that one, but if you like high class women, that's where you need to go. If you like to go to, you like them, hood bookers, then you sit there and go to, club time or something like that, and listen to the trap music. That's your choice, but you have to consciously make that effort to put yourself in a position to meet the type of people that you want to meet.
Dr. D, is it fair to say that your significant other needs to be an extension of your personal brand?
Exactly. They need to be able to represent because my fiance and I, we always say, she say, when you're not with me, I'm a representation of you. And when you're not with me, I'm a representation of you. So we have that, and I could bring her anywhere. The thing I told her, I said, the things that attract me to you, besides you being pretty, you can get along with everybody. You can talk to everybody about all types of things. You don't look ratchet. I call it what it is. Your hair is not ghetto. You don't have 50,000 colors in your hair. And you can wear like a shoulder dress without all the tattoos showing. You don't have to put that makeup stuff on. And I said, as they say, you speak the King's English. So I say, you're articulate and everything. And I tell her, do you know a promotion for somebody to network and say, hey, I want you to meet such and such right here. This can lead to a bigger deal, or you getting scooped up by a new company because they say, hey, let's talk to you. If he's willing to choose this kind of woman to represent him, hey, what other good decisions does he make? And then you don't know you're indirectly being interviewed for another position.
Yeah, you are always being interviewed for another position. You are always being interviewed when you're out in public. Think about it that way. There's something somebody is looking at you for when you're making any sort of contact. So you're absolutely right, brother. I love that.
Gang. Thank you, Dr. D. I really like that point. That's nothing but game right there.
I'm gonna say this.
Go ahead. Wait. Let's really keep taking get involved in the.
Yeah.
No, you good, man. Go ahead, Dr. D. I'm soaking up the game too, but I definitely agree with what you guys are saying. It's that's 100. I mean, your spouse should, represent you as well as your children. It trickles down to your children as well. So, and I didn't understand that growing up. You know what I'm saying? I was. It took me a while to, get that and understand that. But you represent your family at the end of the day and where you come from, as well as, your spouse is tied to that. So go ahead, Dr. D. I'm sorry. I just wanted to hop in there and say that.
No, this is a touchy subject for a lot of guys. But if you go to any company, look at the executive management. What's the one thing that you notice? I was explaining this to another young black dude. I said, they're all married. I said, they are married. Executives are married.
You gotta be careful.
you gotta be careful in these streets. If you say YouTube
No,
streets,
exactly.
if they gonna come for your head. I'm just continue. I'm sorry.
You don't like
I'm
married
saying
people.
be careful. Watch out. Watch out. Any executive management I've noticed they're married. You can be divorced, you can be widowed, but there's very rare in a high ranking position there's a single man because that is temptation. You're gonna have all types of women coming at you. And then if you can have a stable marriage, it shows that you can be stable in making business decisions. It trickles down. I've noticed that. I've researched that. I've looked. I say, well, all of these guys are married, and all of the women are married. I said, they don't. It's very rare to promote people into high-ranking positions that are single, and a lot of men don't realize that. I know they were saying they're gonna come after you for saying that, but hey, it needed to be said.
I agree with you.
Yeah, I agree as well.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Go ahead, go ahead.
No, I agree. Gabe, you mentioned something, your personal brand statement, or what we would like to call the personal position statement. And a lot of people probably like, what does that mean? Well, here, I'm going to give you an example. My name is Antoine Wade. I'm coming to meet you for I just jump into the elevator with you. Handshake. Hi, I'm Antoine Wade, and I'm pursuing my MBA at Georgia Tech. I have over 15 years of management and leadership experience related to software support, software implementation, and software development of enterprise applications. I have been effective at managing people and processes that leads to decreased aging, which is a backlog, decreased time to resolution, and improved customer satisfaction. I am currently a director at X Company Staff, an example of a personal positioning statement for an elevator pitch. And you should always have that in your back pocket because you have no idea who you're going to be. And I would say that even when you're going to networking events, okay, make sure you are solid at communicating those points so that when somebody leaves after you introduce yourself, you're going to be like, oh, well, if I remember anything about Antoine, he is great at improving customer satisfaction. He has over 10 years or 15 years of management experience, so he's somewhat of a leader. And that's going to resonate with you. So make sure you do have that elevator pitch, that personal position statement ready. And it's something that you can almost wrap like your full name. And I think that helps when you introduce yourself to people and you're going to sound confident delivering too.
Okay, let me start with the ask again. Start with the Craig. Why do you think the term marriage is referred to as settling down? It projects maturity and responsibility. One thing I want to ask the panel. So we're talking about branding. I know this might be all of us have went through some level of college. So I guess branding as it relates to getting into professional school, because that's one thing that people want to know. Like, should I go back to get an interview? Some schools require interviews, and we might talk about that so much. But then the interview itself, right? Interview tips, right? And then also, I want to kind of talk about the networking event, because a lot of brothers, it's not like we don't know that brothers won't go to them. Some might go to them, right? But what are the hold on a second. What are the best networks or the best networking? How do you know which one's the best ones to go to the events? And so I want to kind of start okay, let's start with this one. Is there a difference between interview tips for professional school or graduate school as it is for a job? Is there the same level of branding that you need for both? I guess that's the question I want to ask. Somebody else can take it. I don't have too much on that one.
Yeah, me neither. But I do want to add to what Antoine just said before you ask that question, and then I'll hop into that question. Exactly what Antoine was saying about presenting yourself. Is nothing wrong with standing in the mirror and actually practicing that before you go out. And that's one thing. I mean, I don't know if you guys I mean, you
But
guys,
if I try to be positive and I try to respond back in a nice way, it doesn't end well. You know, why do you think black women don't smile when it comes down to dealing with black men? You know what I'm saying? Because giving off a positive attitude or yes, I do have the same shirt on from the other video, but I did take a shower, so okay. But I think the biggest enemy of black women is the black men. Because if you really think about it, it's not white men that are keeping up these negative stereotypes about black women, you know what I'm saying? It's black men that are keeping up